I don't care if it's Russia, China, who it is. The American soldier is the best soldier with the best equipment in the world. I was with President Trump, and I had lunch with 300 of them when I was National Commander of the Military Order of the Purple Heart. I died for 15 minutes, and in that 15 minutes, I went to the other side. And you know what's on the other side? I understand what Trump is doing. He's negotiating. If we go to a war with Iran...
So you went to Vietnam.
Yes, sir.
Now, how scary was that?
Well, it wasn't very scary at all. I was so highly trained. I went through Army training, and then I went to Officer Candidate School, which is 6 months of murderous discipline, and graduated from there. They appointed me a student company commander, and so I was in charge of the students. And my life has been one after another of interesting times. And the military, I tried Indiana University right out of high school, and I missed my grades 3 semesters in a row. They put me on probation. I said, you know what, this isn't for me. So I quit and joined the Army. Well, the Army fit me like a glove, and I loved every minute of it. And I played college baseball at Indiana, freshman in high school, and freshman year at Indiana, where I started as right fielder for the freshman team. So I came into the Army in great shape, world-class shape, and working in the steel mills like I did in the summers, I was beyond in good shape. So when I got to the Army, it was so easy. I laughed. I mean, we had to run a mile, and you had to run it within, I forgot what it was. You had to run a minute within under 8 minutes. Well, I ran it under 6 minutes. It was my boots and my uniform on, and that's an example of how easy I think the Army was in terms of me fitting into it. So I was put in leadership positions in the Army. Volunteer, you know, at the low level of basic training, I was the student platoon leader, and advanced infantry, I was student platoon leader again. So I've always been put in leadership positions my whole life, and it's hard to say exactly why it happens. I think most of it is I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything.
Have you always been that way?
Yeah, I've always been that way. And then in Vietnam, I had 2 big losses in Vietnam. I was tragically, catastrophically wounded. Had my throat ripped open from my ear to my Adam's apple, face crushed in. I thought I was shot in the head because we began sniper fire all day. I thought somebody shot me in the head. Turns out it was a booby trap. Like a roadside bomb would be in Afghanistan. And it killed 3 in front of me, 1 behind me. And I had a compound fracture in my right leg, lost my left kneecap. I had a piece of bamboo that nailed my arm to my chest, missing my heart by 1/4 of an inch. So there's a little luck involved, even in the bad luck. So I survived that. And you know what? I was 23 years old. I shaved the stitches off my neck before they could even take them out. And the 2 big losses I had, 2 PTSD, only in 2 areas. I lost my sense of fear, and that's not a good thing. Fear is good. You know, hey, look out, a truck coming at you, or get out of the way. Fear is good. I don't have that. This place could be raided with machine guns, and my heartbeat would be 57 beats a minute, exactly what it is today, sitting here. The second thing that happened to me that is tragic is I lost my religion, and I've never gotten it back.
Really?
And on November 27th, 1967, I was platoon leader before I got promoted to company commander, and it's a long story I won't bore you with, but it turns out we were light infantry, so they flew us around in helicopters to hot spots. We'd jump off and fight and wait for helicopters to pick us up to go to another place. So the helicopter pilots made a mistake and landed my platoon, which happened to be the lead platoon of our company. I was supposed to get to that location where we needed to be and drop green smoke, so everybody would see the green smoke and means it's safe. And then the rest of the company could fly in. Well, they flew me 1,000 yards past where they were supposed to, and landed me right in the front of a North Vietnamese battalion, about 300 to 400 North Vietnamese regulars with real army people, not like the Viet Cong, which were villagers. So I fought for 5 hours, and they finally came to get us. And in that time, it was insanity. We were overrun. I killed people with my bare hands. I ran out of ammunition. I killed them with my knife. And I actually followed a guy into a tunnel and followed him in that tunnel. It's all in the book. And he had a rifle. And they say never take a knife to a gunfight. Well, that's what I did. But he couldn't see in there any better than I could. So it was totally dark. When your eyes get adjusted a little bit, you can see silhouettes and things. I saw a silhouette of this person, and I charged him on my hands and knees. These tunnels have been there. Some of them have been there hundreds of years. The Vietnamese have been in combat with China and surrounding countries for 1,000 years. I don't know how old these things are, but there are hospitals down there. There are places to live.
Wow.
We went into a tunnel one time. Myself and the tunnel rat, which is usually the small guy in a platoon or company that can zip around in there easier than a big guy like you. You'd have a hard time. But so what happened in that tunnel changed my life again. Another redirection. So
what happened?
I came out of the tunnel. I killed the guy, and at first I thought it was a woman. But I didn't care. I said, whoever this is, it's either me or this person. So I could see at the end of the tunnel, as it went down, there was like a right turn. And I didn't know what was beyond that right turn. So I charged this guy, and he ducked. He tried to run away. He had 3 bullets left. He shot one over my head. He missed me. One past my ear and missed me. And the third one went into the dirt in front of me. And then I heard a click. And when I heard that, I charged him. And he turned to run and take that right turn in the tunnel. I grabbed him by the leg and pulled him to me. And I had my I don't know how far I should go with this, but I had my dagger in my hand, a Gerber classic dagger. You can look them up. It's a classic. The handle is like sandy. So even with your sweating or if there's blood on your hand, you still have a grip. And I got him in the calf, and it stuck in his leg, and I pulled it out. I pulled him to me, and I put one right at the base of his skull. And so that's the reason. The reason I tell you this is because I'm sick and tired of books written by generals and colonels that write books from 15,000 feet above the real combat, and they've never been in it. Maybe some of them have, but not very many of them. And they write these books about the domino effect of communism, these falling in Southeast Asia like dominoes, and they talk the big theories and strategies. I wanted to write a book to tell stories like what I just told you, what actually is like. What's it like to shoot somebody in the head?
What is it like?
Well, it happens so fast, you don't really have time to think about it until later. But one of the first people I killed before all what I just told you, it was a couple of months before that. I was a platoon leader before I got company commander. My platoon was out on a patrol, and I was in the lead because as a leadership move, I always stayed to the front where the action was. We had a point man out about from here to you was a point man. And so my point man froze, And I walked up to him, and I heard what he heard. He heard some noise. And what I thought at first, they told us to watch out for these Vietnamese tigers, the animal, tiger, because they're smaller than the Indian size, but they're aggressive. And they like to kill Americans, or not American, they like to kill anybody, but be careful, they'll kill an American just as fast as they would a Vietnamese. So I thought maybe it was a tiger, and they said, no, it sounds more like a human making too much noise. Well, just when I figured out it was the Vietnamese, they got so close, it was triple canopy jungle. I couldn't see them, but I could hear them. And the brush opened up right in front of me, probably 4 feet in front of me, 4 or 5 feet, and it was a North Vietnamese soldier. And it was like a gunfight at the OK Corral. You know, I had him because I carried a AR-15 Commando snub nose with a collapsible stock. It's like a big pistol. And there's the safety is right where you keep your thumb right on the safety. Well, I could flick the safety off when I brought it up to him. So I had him. He had a big Russian AK-47 rifle over his shoulder. He was fumbling at his shoulder trying to get his rifle. And when I shot him right in the face. So he went down, and I was exposed, and I know there were more of them. So I grabbed him by the leg and I dragged him into the bushes out of sight to see if I had any information on him. And all he had in his upper left-hand pocket was an ID card, and he was a lieutenant in the North Vietnamese Army, so he was my counterpart. So I named that chapter My Counterpart. He was my counterpart, a lieutenant in the North Vietnamese Army. And then he had a picture of a beautiful young woman. It must have been probably his girlfriend or his wife. That's all he had on him. So I looked, and as I pulled him into the weeds, I'm being graphic here on purpose. His brain rolled out of the back of his head. I shot him right in the nose, and a small injury to the nose, back of his head was blown off because the M16 bullet is very fast. It's not very big, but it's very fast, and that speed will do a lot of damage at the exit. Took the skull off in the back, and I saw his brain roll out onto the ground. And here I am. At this time, I was 22-year-old guy looking at this dead man in front of him with his brain laying next to him. He had a officer's hat on. I took his hat, and I still have it today. I should have brought it. I'd have showed it to you, but I have his hat even to this day at home. But he didn't stand a chance. I'll tell you, the American soldier is the best soldier, the strongest soldier, the highest trained soldier with the best equipment in the world, bar none. I don't care if it's Russia, China, who it is. We've got a great military. And I had lunch with 300 of them when I was National Commander of the Military Order of the Purple Heart last tour. I got shown around quite a bit. I was with President Trump twice, so I got to know him a little bit. But the stories that I have, I mean, I have to slow down a little bit, or I'll take the whole hour up on telling these crazy stories, and maybe get out of the train of thought that you've got. I don't mean to do that, but
no, I like it. So, and I've always wondered these things as well. That's why I said, were you scared? Because again, I mean, like, you can't see. All you can do is hear things. You're in a freaking dense jungle, booby traps everywhere. Apparently tigers in there, and you're out there. Now that's got to be scary for anybody, let alone a young man.
Yeah, it's a little scary, but it's keep in mind we were highly trained. And we had weapons, and we were young. The average age when I was a company commander, I was 23. I had 158 men in my command. out in the jungles and swamps and just wherever, mountains, valleys, wherever you could decide to go.
Average age is 19, wasn't it?
The average age was 18.5. I ran a number on it. 18 and a half years old, right out of high school.
Yeah.
And so
you go from freaking picking up girls on the weekend and Friday night lights and sports to slam bam, thank you, ma'am. Now you're in a jungle fighting real people.
Yeah, it's a crazy experience, and
did you have
you have to become almost subhuman during the act. It is not natural to kill.
Did you have the no fear kind of thing going over there, or did you learn it there?
I was trained to kill in the Army, but training is one thing. It's like being a football player. You must have played some kind of ball.
Football.
Yeah, you played football. Practice was not like game time. You get good playing a real game.
Yeah.
Practice is practice, and that's the way it was in the Army. I was all wound up to kill, but I never killed anybody. But when it happens, and you do it a few times, you sort of get the hang of it. You know, it's you don't like it, but it's really more like when I shot my counterpart, it was self-defense. If I didn't shoot him, he would have shot me, no doubt about it.
Well, sure.
So you don't have a choice. So you do it, and you live through it.
I'm of the mind where I always make a joke about Chris Kyle, the most successful sniper in military history. I always say the only reason he was that is because I wasn't there. Meaning, it wouldn't bother me at all.
Yeah. Like,
I'm in a war. And if I'm in a war, I don't care if you're 6 years old. I don't care if you're a female. I don't care if you're a male. I'm killing you if it meant coming back home to my family. And it's a sad thing about war, but it's the truth. Now, what I don't know is what it's really like because I've never done it. I love Call of Duty, the video game. I love killing people in that. But again, you can't probably even compare the two, which is stupid. But to actually be there and to see the brains pop out and the head explode, and you know, I'm just wondering, like, was the first one like hard and then they got easier? Did it ever become fun?
No, it was never fun. But you don't think of it as being emotional one way or the other. You just do it because if you don't, you're gonna die.
100%.
And the American soldier is the best. And also the reservists, the guys that went to the Army Reserve or National Reserve, and then they get deployed. They're as good as anybody else, if not better. You know what? They're better educated, that's for sure. It takes a reservist a little more time to get the hang of it, but when they do, they're good. And that's the reserve. So I never badmouth the reserves. They're just as good as any other soldier.
Can you remember everything like it was yesterday? Is it burned into your imagery?
Yeah, and people ask me, how do I remember everything I put in that book? Well, you start a story, things start coming back to you. None of it is embellished at all. Matter of fact, if anything, I drew back. For instance, I'll give you a big for instance. There's a chapter in there called Bangkok. And when I first was wounded, my leg was healing in country, and they were going to send me back out as a company commander. At my Silver Star ceremony, they told me I was going to get a company. It was a big deal. I didn't know it at the time, but it was a brigade level promotion to company commander. And so my battalion commander was putting this on me, pinning me with the medal, and he said, how's your leg? I said, it's a little tight, but I'm fine. I'm ready to go. And he said, I'll tell you what, why don't you take R&R somewhere? And they had certain points around the world where you could go. The guys the married guys went to Hawaii to meet their wives. The single guys went where the girls were usually, or the wild times, and some of them did drugs. I never did drugs. But so I picked Bangkok, Thailand. So I went to Bangkok, and I spent today's equivalent of $185,000 in 4 days. You could attach any wildness in your mind. I did it.
In Bangkok.
I had pockets full of money. I sold my car, my Corvette. I sold that. Back in the States, I emptied my bank account that I had going in the States, and of course, I was in the jungle as a lieutenant, so I accrued my salary. I never spent any money. I got all that. I pooled all the money I had to my name, and I said, I'm going to spend all this in Bangkok, and I did. I spent. If you had to do what I did, it'd be $185,000.
Well, if you don't do drugs, did you drink?
Oh, did I drink? Yeah, I drank like crazy. Not only that, I drank 50 drinks a day. Now, drinks were like $1, at the most, 75 cents, $1 in Bangkok back in those days. And
so you burnt 185 grand.
I did, and
people, all the girls must have loved you.
It's in the Bible, eat, drink, be merry, for tomorrow you die. I tell you, hey, if it's in the Bible, I'm covered, right?
So you say you lost your religion. What do you mean, literally?
Literally.
So you don't believe there's a creator?
I never got it back. And I had famous people try to convince me. I don't hate God. I'm an agnostic. I question. I'm a doubter. Even Jesus had a doubting Thomas in his group.
Yeah.
So I'm no different than anybody else. I just question how all of that really could happen. First of all, the Bible, in my mind, was written 1,000 years ago by men who thought the world was flat. Okay, so come on, let's start with that.
How do you know it's not?
Yeah, I can guarantee it's not. I've been halfway around it.
Well, I mean, you've been halfway across it.
Maybe. Hey,
I've never been in a plane high enough to see a curve. So right now I can assume that it's not flat, but I can also say, hey, you never know.
Yeah.
But I can tell you for a fact there's a creator. And it sounds like you're not saying that there isn't. You're just saying that you doubt it with all this crap that he allows.
And I had a famous televangelist, Pat Robertson. Remember that name?
Yeah.
He just died a couple of years ago. I got tight with him. And he told me, Doug, don't worry about it. God will come to you. Hey, I got a free pass. So I'm open for it. But you telling me that Noah lived to be 969 years old? It's in the Bible.
That's what it says.
No, well, years were different back. No, they weren't. You had summer, spring, fall, winter. You had the quarters. That's a year. He lived 969 of those. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. And
there's a lot just like you. I don't necessarily always believe the Bible because it's man written.
Yeah.
But I know for certain there's a creator. There has to be. Everything is too unbelievably miraculous. Like, how can the things that happen?
Then I should believe. According to that, I should believe. I've seen miraculous things. I've survived how could I survive all that? I did it because I'm lucky and I worked hard and I was smart and I was a killer. And I was a leader, so I had a chance to control the situation a little bit. So you could be right. You're smarter than I am. You wouldn't be doing all of this. I think.
Well, no, we haven't even got to what you've done. Trust me.
There's always somebody smarter. You admit that
for sure.
And
it's not me. I can tell you that.
I know smart people that believe every single word of the Bible, the whole thing.
Well, they're followers.
And I can't. I'm open for it. I can say right now, God, kill me. I'm going to ask God. God, please kill me right now. Ain't gonna happen.
See, now what if you just had a heart attack? Well, again, I can see your position. I've had that position many times, but there's just a little piece that says it's just too many miraculous things. Like you think we just evolved out of a single cell amoeba?
Yeah.
Okay, so one became a giraffe and the next became a gorilla and one became a tiger and one became a human and one became a freaking butterfly? Like, no fucking way. Number one. Number two, the skin. You cut your skin and little platelets get sent down to heal it up and seal it up. Crazy. Bees that pollinate the flowers that produce the fruits. It's like, no way. There's too much unbelievable coincidence. The fact that we're so far away from the sun, if we were any farther, we'd freeze to death. If we were any closer, we'd burn to death.
That's the only reason we were here.
I know, but like there's just too many of those unbelievable perfections. So it's like saying if a printing shop, right, where they print books exploded and out of the explosion landed your book with words and pages, no fucking way.
I disagree with you.
It's no way. Again, hopefully you find out before I do.
I will. I promise you that.
Hey, see again. That's not true either.
Yeah.
I had a guy one time. He was making fun of me because I was old. I was like 49 at the time, and he was like, well, your life's damn near over. I got all my life, and he was making fun of me because I was old, and I was trying to give him some guidance, and got killed on a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
Boom, dead. He didn't even know it, but he had less time than me.
That's right.
So you never know.
No, you don't.
But I can tell you, when you see children getting killed and raped and trafficked, and you see, wars, and you see this unbelievable, traumatic experiences, it's kind of hard to believe that like this would be allowed, or, if he really existed, why would this even be allowed? Well, again, I've got those same questions, but on the other hand, it is just impossible for there not to be a creator of some kind. Now, it could be an alien race. It could be all kinds of shit. I'm not saying it's the Bible. Whatever the Bible says, I believe. No, matter of fact, there's parts of the Bible that were omitted. There's parts that were canonized, which means somebody at some time decided what goes in it, and and then there's the King James version, which most people go by, at least Christians. And I always say, King James version, what does version mean? And they're like, well,
version?
Yeah, his version. Okay, well, why am I going by some human's version, especially when it was, he was the king, so he got his own version, and whatever that said could have been altered to fit his desires and wants and needs. But then again, you get the biblical scholars that say, no, it's exactly the same. And then the other ones say, no, it isn't. This word in Hebrew means this. And it's like, whatever. All I know is this. There has to be a creator. That I know. No, you don't. You don't. Really. I do know. You can't explain it. You'll find out, and so will I. And I'll bet you when we do.
I already found out. I died on the battlefield.
Literally?
I did. My second wound.
They brought you back?
My second wound was the one with the neck and the face and everything. And it cut my left carotid artery, and it was shooting out to here. I was bleeding to death. And they finally got their hands around the artery, my medic did, and the helicopter was coming in to pick me up. And they threw me on a helicopter. The dead guys we left there because you never put dead on a helicopter with live people. It's unwritten rule. And they put some men to guard these poor people that were dead. And then they came back later and got them. And they flew me to a MASH unit not far away. And I was getting weaker and weaker because of the bleeding. The whole inside of the helicopter was plastered with my blood. And the door gunner, who's right next to me, yelled at the top of his lungs, "You need to hurry up. This guy's fucking dying." And I was. And the helicopters broke all the rules. They have strict flight rules how to fly those helicopters. You can't just fly them anywhere. They got treetop and they went full speed ahead to that MASH unit. Flew me in. They took me out of the helicopter, and I'm still awake, and I'm witnessing all of this. And they took me in, and I started to go, and the last thing I felt was they had a young Catholic priest in there, and he was giving me the last rites as he rubbed the oil on my forehead. I remember that.
Did you see any white lights or anything?
No, here's the thing. I died for 15 minutes. That's a long time to be dead. Usually it's a minute or two. I was 15 minutes out because I had no blood. They were pumping plasma into me. And I finally came back in 15 minutes. But in that 15 minutes, I had no respiration, no heartbeat. I was dead. And I went to the other side. And you know what's on the other side?
What?
Nothing. Nothing. Nothing's on the other. No bright light. My grandfather wasn't there to welcome me to heaven. Jesus and God weren't there to bring me up into heaven. Satan wasn't there to drag me into hell for killing all those men. There was nothing. It's like a nice, long, quiet, peaceful sleep. I went to sleep. So when you die, you're going to go to sleep. And that's it. You're like roadkill on the side of the road after that.
And what happens to your soul?
I don't think there is one. Your soul is your feeling. When you're alive, it's your brain. If you have a soul, it's in your brain. It's not here. It's in your brain. You love people.
Well, then how do you explain reincarnation?
I don't. It doesn't work. It's not true.
So all those stories and shit is fake?
The Hindus believe in reincarnation. I don't believe any of that. Now, is religion good? Yes.
Great civility.
I love churches. Look what they do. They take care of people. They feed the homeless. These churches do great things. I'm all for religion. I just think it's like, and even my buddies, I play golf. Even my golf buddies say, after they get to know me real well, they say, yeah, nobody knows for sure.
Well, that I always say that.
Yeah, nobody knows for sure. So when people say, I actually believe for sure somebody created us, I don't know. I think evolution makes more sense than,
No, I know there's a creator.
Well, first of all,
there's a creator for sure.
Okay, how do you know that? Just because
again, there's too many perfections in the world.
Hey, maybe you're right.
Like your ears
I hope
can
you're
hear.
right.
Your ears can hear. I've got vocal cords that are like we're smart enough to form communicative language.
So does a dog.
No.
A dog has. They pick up. I read this. The dogs have the capacity of memorizing like 200 words. And some of them can put it together.
You mean understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're intelligent, sentient
Cats
beings
do too. But they don't give a shit.
Yeah. Well, you can train a bird, and a bird can talk.
Yeah.
But again, God made birds. Apparently, on the second day.
Yeah. What did he do on the third day?
And by the way, some people say that whole 6-day creation is a lie. If you go to this other, I'm not sure which religion it is, but no, it was 40 years.
Oh. Yeah.
But who knows? Again, at the end of the day, nobody knows for sure. I have faith that we were created only because
now there you hit the word. Everybody I talk to, when they get down to the nitty gritty, they say, Doug, you got to have faith.
Yeah.
And I have faith. I have faith in you. I have faith in your staff.
You have faith in what you can see.
Faith in my wife. Married to her for 52 years. Faith in her, my son, my beautiful.
Does she believe?
She does a little. She's more like where you are. And I don't expect. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, you know why you don't?
Yeah,
mainly?
it was taken from me.
What? How?
When I was killed, when I died, and I woke up and there was nothing there. If anybody had an out-of-body experience, it would have been me. I was in a war situation. I had all this shit going on, and I woke up and what the hell? Where's Jesus?
But you said you didn't wake up. There was nothing.
Yeah, I did. When I went out, there was nothing.
Right.
When I died, there was nothing. When I woke up, I was back into reality.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So you might have been in purgatory.
I think I was in hell.
Why hell?
War is hell.
No, that's where you were. And I'm talking about when you died. You said it was nothing.
There was nothing there.
Well, some people say that is what is going to happen. Nothing. But if you're wrong, well then, I think you'll find out eventually. But you may be correct, and every religious person on the earth is full of shit. But here's why I would say that you probably don't believe in. It's because you said you don't fear things. See, I think the little part of me that believes is because I fear it being true and me not saying I believe. Because if you don't, apparently you get dragged off to hell. So all these people, I think deep down, if they're telling the truth, they're claiming the belief because they fear what's going to happen if they don't believe. And you don't fear. So you're willing to say, fuck you.
Hey,
I ain't buying this shit. But there's a lot of people listening to the show that
I
are.
try not to be like that. I try to be understanding, because I'll tell you what, I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am.
Yeah, but if you are, you're kind of screwed, aren't you?
I'm going to hell, so that because I don't believe in hell, I don't believe in heaven, so who cares? I'm not going to hell. There is no hell.
you better hope.
There is.
Well, there's a lot of listeners that believe I know that, and I'm sure I have a lot that don't. So the listeners that are listening that believe, and you have your own personal testimony and your story, or maybe you were listening to this episode strictly to bring him back, to give him back his religion, reach out. He's mainly on LinkedIn.
I'm open.
I was hoping you're on Instagram somewhere. Are you on Instagram?
I'm wrong. I hope honest. I hope I'm wrong, because if I am wrong, if there is a God, he's big enough to say, "Hey, come on through. You had a good life, wife, kids. You did fine. You didn't lie to anybody. Well, maybe you did when you were younger, but blah blah blah. He knows everything I did. Come on in. He's going to let me in."
What if it would have been perfect? You'll get in from all the things you achieved and all the things you did, but then Bangkok screws you.
I'm down there shoveling coal into the furnace like Gandhi does.
Well, what if the Bangkok episode was the reason he ain't? You finally, I can't let you forgive that one.
That could be. Yeah, I'd say, well, maybe he'll say drop and give me 20, and I'd do that and walk in and let me in.
Well, I hope for you, and I do it just in case. Like, I'll pray for you just in case. Because
I don't mean to insult your audience. I'm not insulting anybody, because I'm not sure I'm right either. I'm as sure as I'm right as you are as sure that you're right. And one of us is going to find out. And I have already been there. So,
I've been there too, actually.
When these people, did you?
I was only 2 years old, but yeah, I died supposedly when I was 2. And I don't remember anything either. So
yeah. And you don't remember being born. And you're not going to remember dying either. You won't remember it.
Well, it depends on how you die, right?
Well, not if you die, you die, But
I'd rather die instantly than long, drawn out, painful.
Same here.
So, what is your age?
80.
You're 80 years old. How's your blood? You say your heart beats 57. That's killer for that.
I'm in great shape.
You work out. You do all that.
Out.
You take any supplements?
I take supplements. I take a Miracle supplement. You want a Miracle?
Yeah.
I used to get these cold sores about the size of a football. At least it seemed that way to me, on my lips.
Yeah.
They'd pop up once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And I had a guy tell me when I was at MTV, I had a beauty about the size of your nose, right here. And he said, "Hey, how'd you like to never have one of those again?" I said, "You kidding me? Who do I have to kill?" He said, you need to take L-lysine, L-lysine. It's an amino acid. It's powerful, and it pumps your immune system up. L-lysine, you ought to take it. And even if you don't get blisters, it's a great thing for your body.
Yeah.
And I haven't had one in 30 years.
Just from that.
I can't imagine why else it would be. That's the only change. But yeah, I eat healthy. I don't smoke. I never smoked. I drink socially. I used to drink a lot when I was young, but I don't drink anymore. Have a glass of wine maybe.
So Vietnam obviously kind of woke you up. Eventually you got to go home. War was over. How old were you then?
I was 24.
And I'm going to have you back on a couple of more episodes if you'll come back. And we'll talk more about the war, because I guarantee you there's a whole bunch of people wanting me to ask you all kinds of questions, like how many people did you kill collectively? Like you think.
You want the answer now?
Yeah.
I know almost exactly how much I killed. I killed 200 in Thanksgiving Day, 1967. We had a big battle. Made the CBS News that night. And my parents saw it on television. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. First of all, my parents couldn't sleep at all, because the time change. When I was awake when they were trying to sleep. I was trying to sleep when they were awake, so nobody ever slept. But
so when it was pouring rain and you're out in the jungle and shit, like, is the movies real at all?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like it would be pouring down rain in the jungle and you're just sitting there trying to sleep, which obviously you couldn't.
You get back to back. I'd get behind you and we put our backs together, and that heat will help each other keep warm. Because if it gets under 80 degrees and it's raining or it's wet and damp, you freeze. It's cold.
And like when you would hear Viet Cong or North Vietnamese soldiers walking through, but you couldn't see them, what do? Just stay quiet?
Freeze.
Just stay still?
Yeah.
How many times did they walk like literally right by you?
That's a good question. I had a scary thing happen. As a company commander, I would go out with my men on patrol once in a while just to show them. I wouldn't ask them to do something that I wouldn't do or haven't done. And I went out on a patrol one night, and a small patrol to sort of just keep our presence around the company, who was nestled in for the night in a circle. And so we'd go out all night and come back in the morning. One night we went out and I found a path, so just took this path, and I heard somebody speaking in Vietnamese coming. And so we set up an ambush real quick, and we were going to ambush this unless it was a big group. So we all got down, and the leader of the ambush is always the most senior person. Well, I was the lieutenant, so I would set the ambush off. I'd set the ambush off with a shot. I would shoot the first shot. And so here they come, and we're all hunkered down. And all of a sudden, I saw there were more than 5 or 6. It wasn't a patrol. It was a company. And I stopped. I hunkered down. I told them, be quiet. And I counted 145 people walk past us. Now, if we'd have detonated that ambush, we would have killed 5 or 6 of them. But that left 140 to come and get us. So we would have died that day if I hadn't stopped it. So I counted the boots as they went by, 145 men.
And they were just walking right by you.
Walking right by, closer than you and I are together right now.
And you weren't scared?
No. Well, I was ready. I wouldn't say scared. I'd say I was prepared.
How many soldiers, the U.S. soldiers, showed up and were like little scared people, and they went out and got killed because of that fear?
Not many. I saw a couple, and I saw also a couple that killed somebody up close and personal, and they couldn't handle it.
So what'd they do?
They'd cry and hunker down and bawl like a baby. And I don't blame them. It's the way they're brought up, or whatever the reasons are. And I would send them back. I would send them back to the rear area, because as a company, I had a position back there that's where I would go for rest and recuperation and to get new rifles and new equipment and things like that. So I'd send them back there and put them in charge of supply or something. I never sent them out. I never called them a coward. I took good care of them. They deserved it.
Not only that, you don't want scaredy cats up in the front.
And my platoon leader, which was a great platoon leader when I was a company commander, he came up to me one time, and he was probably 47, 45, 46, 47. This is his second war. He fought in Korea. Now he's fighting in Vietnam. My nickname is Law. He came up to me and said, "Hey, Law, you got to get me out of here. I got to get home to my wife and kids. I got a feeling I'm not going to make it." And I said, I'll do that. I'll get you out of here. I said, I need a reason. What do you got? You got any wounds, any scratches, anything? He said, no. He said, I can say anything, right?
Yeah.
I'm uncircumcised, and I have an ongoing infection. I got a tight knot down there, and I have an infection, but I've had it since I got here. And I said, you're going in to get circumcised. And he said, okay. I sent him in and never saw him again. And but when I went in as company commander for an update to my battalion commander or report and find out what's going on. Then I'd go back, I'd stay a day or night, come back. When I landed, there was a Jeep there waiting for me with a driver. And the driver stayed with me the whole time. I had people waiting hand and feet on me. It was my platoon sergeant. He was setting all of this up, taking care of me. They gave me a great Marine dagger that I carried on my side. Even my battalion commander said, "Where the hell did you get that Jeep?" "I don't even have a Jeep." "And you got a Jeep?" I said, "I don't ask any questions." They said, "Lieutenant Greenlaw," and I said, "That's me. Here's your Jeep." But it was my platoon, my first sergeant that set that up.
So how long were you over there?
9 months.
9 months.
Seemed like it forever, but that's when I got catastrophically wounded and it sent me home.
So the wound, see again, I mean, that could have been God.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was horrible.
Did you have guilt leaving all the guys behind?
Yeah, I was taken away.
How much longer did that war go on?
Well, it was 68, so it ended in 75.
Damn. Now, do you think we were over there for a good reason?
No.
What were we over there even for?
Politics, 100% politics.
Yeah, but what'd they say it was for?
To stop communism. To stop communism from taking over all those countries, and when we left, they took them all over. They're all communists now.
So what do you think the real reason was?
I think it was the military-industrial machine has to have a war. They have to have a reason to bulk up, to recruit. Back then they had to draft. Now it's volunteer. They have a lot of power with the President of the United States, and they can convince him. You know, we're about to go into Ukraine, and I think Donald Trump is going to get forced to go into Ukraine. So we're going to build up for it, and the war machine will be happy, and then the war will go away, and we're okay for a while, and then it'll build up. We'll have another one.
When do you think the wars will be different? Because nowadays you've got chemicals,
well, they will be different.
You've got drones. It's not people
the next
anymore.
one will be different. If we go to a war with Iran.
What about China?
I don't think China can afford it. China's broke. They're barely making it now. I mean, if Trump stays with this tariff, I don't know what's going to happen to him. It's going to get ugly.
Well, I don't think he's going to stay with tariffs. I think he's using it as leverage.
I agree. I hope so. I hope you're right.
Yeah,
I believe that too.
Well, he again, I mean, people freak out. It's like, first of all, it's called leverage, negotiation leverage.
Yeah.
If he says, we're the biggest consumer, we're not buying your shit anymore, we're going to slap tariffs on everything that you have so no one will buy your shit. They freak out and they say, okay, what do we need to do? And then it's like, okay, now we're back at the table where the previous administration had us just bent over a barrel. Well, and literally getting rammed in every direction from every frickin' country out there.
That's it. And they were getting pressure from their military to do it. And we can take care of it. I've had a Navy SEAL, a friend of mine in Greenville, South Carolina, 23 years. He was in the Navy as a Navy SEAL. Big, strong guy. Admire him. He tells me stories about the Navy SEALs. Well, you ought to have him on here. He I don't know if you'd tell it because it might be illegal to tell what he said. But I said, well, give me an example. He said, well, I can't really talk about it. I said, hey, I was still in the Army at the time, and I said, I got a top secret. And I outranked him. I said, tell me. He said, all right. He said, I just got back from my third tour in Vietnam. And one time we got off the submarine about a mile off base, offshore. We knew these towns in the area were Viet Cong, enemy. So we swam to shore. A team of us, about six to 10. A team of us swam to shore. We went to these villages, and we inoculated the dogs with rabies and left. 21 days later, these dogs are biting everybody, spreading their rabies. that's terrorism. What that is, and that's the kind of stuff that goes on. I mean, and I said, hey, wait a minute. What do you mean? These dogs just came up to you? These dogs, you're dressed in black. They're going to be barking like crazy. I said, why didn't they bark? He said, bacon. Our pockets were full of bacon. He said, those little buggers are hanging around us wanting more bacon.
What about stories you hear where platoons go into villages where there are no soldiers and there are just villagers and they'd kill them anyway?
And then they still what?
They'd kill them anyway. In other words, just kill villagers because like it was kill everybody in sight.
To my knowledge, that never happened except for an occasion or two.
What about rape and pillage?
Not in my company.
But did you ever hear of it though?
Not in my company. We all behaved, and nobody better try that crap on me. So
fortunately, you survived. You got back to the United States, you healed up, and you're what, 24, 25?
I got out of, it was 23 when all this action was going on. I turned 24 on the way home.
And then what? So now you're healed, it's over, you don't have to go back. What are you thinking?
The business world fit me like a glove, just like the Army did. First of all, everybody was fascinated with all this crap, which means nothing. I mean, this
Purple Heart, Silver Star. I got a Silver Star for valor, 2 Bronze Stars for heroism, and 2 Purple Hearts for getting wounded twice. And it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. I mean, it means nothing to me. I wore them here today for you because I didn't know if you were going to be on, you're going to be broadcasting this or what, but I wanted to let you see them and have them as sort of a decoration. I'm not ashamed of them or anything, but I'll give you an example. That Thanksgiving Day when I killed 200 people, and the way I didn't personally kill them, but I called in an F-4 Phantom jet to drop bombs on my location and theirs, keep them back. And when it was all over, I went out and counted the people, and I got it 70, and I said, that's enough. I looked around, there were dead people everywhere. I said, let's round it off to 200. There's got to be 200 here. So what's the highest medal you can get, the Medal of Honor?
Medal of Honor is number 1. Distinguished Service Cross is number 2. This one, Silver Star, is number 3 for valor. Valor versus heroism. Valor is a notch above when you do above and beyond heroism.
What did they give you that one for?
When I killed the guy I killed in the tunnel, turned out they think he was the battalion commander, and that trench that I jumped into to get down and hide, not hide, but have the bullets go over my head instead of through me. It was. They think it was the battalion commander because that was his base of operation. I don't know where that tunnel went, but it could have had a hospital in it.
Okay, so you're back and now you're ready to go. Why does business fit you like a glove the same way?
I'm disciplined. I'm fearless. Religion never gets in the way. I love people. I take care of my people. I did everything in business that I did in combat. I won't say the Army, but combat. And my job was to save lives, and I saved a lot of lives by being better. And I walked the straight line. You know, we never raped anybody. We never, I never saw anybody killed. I mean, one child was killed, but it was a stray bullet. But we stayed out of the villages. Now, if we found Viet Cong in there, we killed them. And how do we know? Because they've got their stash of weapons and ammunition and everything. So I did that. But
they were tricky bastards over there, weren't they?
They were. And the Viet Cong were smart, and they were brave. They were brave. And they believed in that war a lot more than we did. But we were just bigger and stronger. You know, you put a 110-pound Vietnamese guy up against you in a fight. Now, who's going to win?
Me.
You are. So that's the story. It's plain and simple.
So that's interesting. So if you're in business, if you're an entrepreneur, you need to be fearless. You need to not let religion get in the way.
Well, it can. not that it's maybe it's a bad example. I'd say you have to be courageous. You have to be good mind about your people.
Willing to take risk.
Was that?
Willing to take a risk.
Oh yeah, take a risk.
That's what I see a lot of people.
That's the wrong guy, but maybe.
Yeah, I see a lot of people in business that don't succeed, and mainly it's because they're not willing to take any risks. They just want to be safe and successful. And it's like, I don't know if there's a way to do that.
Well, it's going to freeze them in their location where they are, and then they're going to fight for survival to even keep their job. So, I would say that discipline was big and lack of fear. I was pretty fearless even before I went to combat as a kid.
Do you think getting cracked by a bolt of lightning did it?
Combined with high school, I went to high school in an urban school where it was blacks, Hispanic, Eastern Europeans, Scotch-Irish, big mix. And it's a tough area. It's called the Region, just in the steel mill area east of Chicago on Lake Michigan, where all the steel is built in America, most of it. And it's hard work. And so hard people come out of there. And I've got some, Joe LaRocco story. Joe is the toughest guy I've ever seen in my life. And we were in high school together. And he came up to me. I decided not to go. I put 3 years in the steel mills. I said, hell with this. I'm going to go to college. I ended up failing and joining the Army. But Joe comes up to me. He says, hey, Law, I don't have any money to give you, but I'm proud of you for not staying here. You're getting out of this goddamn place. We're all proud of you, and we're all thinking about you. Now, I don't have any money. I can't give you anything, but someday you're going to meet a businessman that you're in trouble with, and I won't kill him, but you give me a photograph of him and tell me where he works, and I'll grab him when he comes out of the office, and I'll beat the living shit out of him. So bad, I won't kill him, but he'll wish he was dead. And he meant it. All I had to do was call him, and I never called him. But I got into some hairy situations. Politics inside of a big company like Viacom, it's brutal. Got a pecking order, and here I'm going over the pecking order all the way to Sumner Redstone, the chairman, because he and I hit it off because he's a veteran, and I'm a veteran. It was a veteran, and I called him a hero in front of the company, as I was giving a speech one day to the whole company about Sumner Redstone. It was a hero. He was one of the Harvard hotshots that broke the Nazi code, World War II. And so he would call me. We're getting into a whole other area here, but we could do maybe at another time. But he would call me occasionally because he was uncomfortable being with celebrities alone. Just whatever reason, he was uncomfortable. He wasn't a real talkable guy, talking head anyway. So he would call me. And one day he called me and he says, "Hey, Greenlaw, Michael Jackson's coming by this afternoon. You want to come on up and meet him?" I said, "Sure." So I went up, and when the times came, Michael Jackson walks into his office. And I said, "Well, first of all, he surprised me. He's bigger than I thought he would be. He's like 6 feet tall. I'm 5'10" with the right shoes on. And he was taller than me, real thin, but he had a big ass and big legs. He's a dancer. And I said, pretty impressive guy. He's real quiet, real shy. And he thanks us for, what we did for Thriller and all that top album of all time. And Sumner says, "Hey, Michael, you mind if we got a photographer out here? You mind if we take a picture?" No, fine. So he snaps his finger, and one of his big bodyguards, he had two of them. They were both 6'5", close to 300 pounds, just big animals to make sure nobody came. They were not violent or anything, but they just kept people away from him. One of them brought over a beautiful handmade box, and it was beautiful, all, shiny and about 4 inches thick and about a foot square. And I thought, what the hell, are we going to have cigars? And I didn't know what it was. Well, there was nothing in the box. He put the box down in front of Michael. He stood on the box because he had to be the tallest guy in the photograph.
Sumner?
Michael Jackson had to be the tallest guy.
Oh, Michael.
Michael Jackson had to be, he had to stand on that box, so he'd be the tallest man in the photograph. And I thought, holy crap, he is sort of weird. But that was before all the surgeries. He had some, but not much.
So how'd you get the job? I mean, like, so you're back. You didn't just land a big job.
I started at the very bottom, but I always outworked everybody. If I wasn't the smartest guy in the room, which I wasn't many times, not the smartest guy in the room, I outworked everybody. I was the first one in the office, the last one to leave. I wasn't afraid to do anything. And I started out selling the bottom of the, selling ad time at a popular radio station in Indianapolis. And within 18 months, I was their top guy. And I went from there to TV, and I ran into Pat Robertson. And Pat Robertson hired me to help him take CBN, the religious network, and take it private, take it not religious. And it was a genius move. And before anybody did, he was running Andy Griffith and his Rifleman and all those, you know, the Lone Ranger, all that old 1950s and 60s black and white, Leave It to Beaver, all that stuff that we can see today. And it got big ratings. And I sold the hell out of it. I was out selling ESPN, MTV, all the big boys in New York City. I was killing all of them.
How much were you making? What kind of commission did that pay?
I made. This was what, in the mid '80s. I made a couple $100,000 a year.
And
take care of my family. That's no problem. That was a lot of money then.
Yeah. So how did you end up being at like MTV and Nickelodeon?
Well, I was doing so well. Viacom contacted me. Said, we need a head of sales. And I said, I'm already head of sales, the top guy in the country with, we call it the Family Channel. And he ended up selling it to Fox for $1.9 billion. But, and they said, well, we'll give you a better title. We'll give you a president title, put you in charge of all sales and promotional marketing. And I said, with all the channels, all the Viacom channels. And I took it and made a big leap in income, and we killed it. We did a great job. MTV was catching on. I rode that wave, the cable wave from in the 80s and 90s, and we all had a ball. MTV was, I thought many times, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this.
I bet.
I'd do it for nothing.
MTV. And then Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon was a moneymaker.
Yeah. What about the I don't know what it's called, like basically on the Nickelodeon set, talking about some of those Nickelodeon actors and shit. Yeah.
Nickelodeon was run by a genius, Geraldine Laybourne, Jerry Laybourne. She and I got really tight. I produced for her. And she went on to be president of ABC, a strong woman. And Nickelodeon was her baby. She launched it for Sumner.
Have you seen the most recent, like, claiming that a lot of the kids on Nickelodeon were getting like diddled by the other actors, and that fat guy says like on the Nickelodeon set? And it was like, they weren't blaming Nickelodeon, but they were blaming like child actors getting diddled in Hollywood.
Well, Nickelodeon's always been controversial, and people didn't realize, more controversial than MTV.
Really?
MTV, they figured it would be on, but then everybody had an image of what children's programming ought to be. Well, that's not the way Jerry did it. Jerry Laybourne, she made them independent. These kids were tough kids. And they didn't agree with what their family's doing. They would argue, not always win the argument, but sometimes they did. So we had a different take. Jerry Laybourne had a different take on the kids, and she was on the right track because now they are what they are today.
So which battlefield was more cutthroat, business or Vietnam?
I'd say that's a good question. I would say they're pretty equal. You'd think I'd snap off and say, oh, Vietnam, we're killing people. Well, the psychological part of failing in a big company, there's a lot of pressure. I'd say the pressure was equal. The end game, nobody's going to die, although I did have a guy die in a heart attack in my office. But so I'd have to say they're both pretty equal.
Was there any trouble balancing like integrity while you're running such a big thing like MTV?
No. I ran it exactly the way I am today and the way I was when I was 18 years old. I don't lie to you. I'll never lie to you. I'll never cheat. And I'll back you up. I got your back.
Did you ever bring your skills from leadership in Vietnam into like negotiation? And if so, like what skills apply in negotiations?
I would do, I was more like Donald Trump, take away the personality and, but I understand what Trump is doing with these tariffs. He's negotiating and, but the problem is China, because China they don't have a whole lot to lose. They're on the brink and they don't have a lot of play left. They don't have much cash and they've got 1 billion people that they're giving homes to. And I've been to China. I've been to Russia. I've been to China. I've been to India. I've been everywhere in the world almost, except the Arctic. And
not allowed there.
What's that?
The Arctic has some special area where no one's allowed, supposedly.
Some parts of it, yeah.
And all countries agree, which is, again, another conspiracy. Like, what's up there?
Maybe all the aliens are down there. They like that cold weather.
Or something. But so when you ran MTV and Nickelodeon, when they owned pop culture, right? Looking at today's media, is it smarter than they were or just louder?
I think they're pretty much the same. You know, kids are kids. Parenting is a key to all of this, including the way they appear on television and as young people are writing it. I think I'm very high on the kids today. I really am. And I see it in the military we have today. They are as strong. They're bigger. They're stronger. This whole case that Tom Brokaw made of the greatest generation, World War II, that's bullshit. World War II isn't the best generation. Korea guys were better than World War II. Vietnam guys and women were better than Korea. And the Gulf War guys were better than we were. Every generation is bigger, stronger, smarter, better educated, and as patriotic. I believe that. I've seen it.
Even this current one?
The current, what do you mean, currently today?
Yeah, like you see a lot of these pricks running around burning flags, talking about, America's.
You should have seen 1968. Shit, they were burning flags. They were burning buildings. The Vietnam War was a big problem in our country.
Yeah, a lot of the hippies.
JFK, Bobby Kennedy was killed. There are murders across the country. 68 was worse than this.
Really?
It really was. It really was.
Do you think people are softer today than they were back then?
No, I just think that people don't give 68 credit. Shit. It was a wild, crazy outlaw country. And the war in Vietnam was a huge thing.
Did you ever ride motorcycles?
Pardon me?
Did you ever ride motorcycles?
Did I? No.
Never were a biker?
No. I've never. Do you ride one?
I used to.
I've got a question for you.
What?
I ask every bike rider the same question. I get the same answer. Were you ever in an accident with your motorcycle?
No.
No? Not one? Not even laid it down?
Nope.
You're the first person I've ever met. It's never. They all say, "Oh yeah, this guy ran a red light and smacked me," and
no. I've never been in a motorcycle
You're
accident,
lucky.
fortunately. Yeah.
Either that or you're really good. One of the two.
Well, I didn't
Good.
ride that often. I wasn't like a daily rider, but there was a time where I couldn't afford a car, and a motorcycle is a very cheap form of transportation. So I had a motorcycle for probably a year and a half, where that's all I had.
That's enough.
Yeah, but fortunately, never got in an accident. But I was also very observant, and I was very aware.
Yeah,
because cars don't recognize motorcycle riders very well. Like you easily get cut off, and
yeah.
But I was careful.
Well, at Harleys, you can hear them coming behind you. Those damn Hondas, you can't hear them. They come right up alongside of you, and you don't even hear them.
Especially the electric ones.
So quiet, yeah.
So what are you doing like now? Are you retired, just chilling, or you still in business?
I'm still in business.
What do you do? What's your day look like?
I've got my own foundation, the Greenlaw Foundation, and I raise money and I write checks. 100% of what I bring in, I give out. I'm well off. I don't need the money. So I feed programs that handle suicide prevention, veteran homelessness, and the catastrophically wounded. A good example on that one, a guy I know lives in Arkansas, and his home burned to the ground. I mean burned to the ground. Both cars in the garage, everything he owned, he had nothing. So I sent him a check right off the bat. The next day, I had a check in his hands. It wasn't much, a couple $1,000s, but it gave him some breathing room to get on his feet. He didn't even have a pair of socks. He had to buy everything. So he was so happy about that, and it really made me feel good because I was able to get to him early. So I do that for veterans and suicide prevention. There are 22 to 25 vets commit suicide every single day of the year, and it's about 30% higher than average.
Why do you think they do?
They what?
Why do they?
Why do I do that?
No, why do they kill themselves? PTSD?
You know what? I've learned about suicide. It's usually a snap decision. It's not something they think about for a long time. They say, I think I'm going to commit suicide. I'm going to think about it again tomorrow. They do it right away. And so it's a snap decision, and snap decisions are not normally your best decisions.
Why veterans, though? Because of what they saw?
Life is too much. Life piles up on them.
Do you get haunted from what you saw?
I used to have nightmares that I couldn't even describe them to you. They were so bad. But I don't believe in hypnotism, but I said, you know what? This guy's offering what I want to hear. He's saying I can get rid of that in one session. I said, you're kidding me. In 1 hour, give me an hour. I'll get rid of your nightmares. So I said, you know what? I'm going to embrace this. So I did everything he said, and I'll be damned. He said, you're not going to have any more nightmares. I haven't had one since. And that was 5 or 6 years ago. And it's a relief. That's the only thing I really had other than the two that I described earlier, no religion and no fear. But
I think you're going to get your religion back. I have an intuitive feeling.
I got to see a miracle happen in front of my face.
Well, the bomb squad's going to find a miracle for you. You know what? I've asked the same thing. I even tell my buddy who's really religious. That's what I say. I say, how come I can't just see like a straight up miracle? He says, I see him all the time.
No, you don't.
I said, well, how come you can't see someone with a short leg and the leg grow? Yeah. And he sent me this video where this lady's got this chicken wing arm. And I mean, it's shorter than it's supposed to be. It's not just like this. It's like this part is like this long. And this was like chicken winged up and it was all short. And they started freaking praying and praying. And next thing you know, dude, this freaking arm of hers is just like a normal arm. And I said, it's trick photography. That's a fake video. And he's like, bro, that is not a fake video. I said, yeah, I don't know. He says, you're one of those guys that no matter what,
you're just... Turn this bowling ball into the Empire State Building and I'll believe it. I need a big miracle. I need one that you can't argue with. You're right. This one to me is,
Yeah, but the fact that you're still alive, that's pretty much a miracle.
Some people say so. I don't think so.
See, again, maybe you're just...
when you're young and 23 years old, I thought bullets would ricochet off me. Everybody in the whole battalion would be killed. I'd be the last man standing. That's the way young people think.
And again, I think I passed over it lightly. You got struck by lightning right in the chest and survived. How old were you?
13.
So what were you doing to get struck by lightning?
I was on the beach, playing on the beach with my friends, and we were having a family reunion at our house. We have a pretty good sized extended family, and they were on the way. So I ran home up the sand dune, ran to our house, and here comes my favorite cousin, Dan. He walks up to me, and I reach out and I rub his head because he just got a buzz cut. Bam! That's when it hit. Went through me into Dan, into my uncle behind us, hit the root of a tree and blew the tree up, split it right in half. Small tree. Split it right in half.
Did it knock you out?
Yeah, it did.
Did you wake up in a hospital or what?
No, I woke up there in a matter of seconds, really. And my mother was with me. She came out of the house. She heard this big blast. And she picked me up. And I had these red streaks through my skin and healed.
See, again, you got struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Not miraculous.
Well, but a lot of people live getting struck by lightning. I was surprised at that. A pretty good sized number of lightning strike survivors. Obviously, if they survive, they survive. But lightning strike victims live. So I'm just one of them.
Are you going to do this book in audio?
Yeah, I'm having it done right now as we speak.
Yeah, good. Because I like listening better than I like reading.
So,
and is it going to be your voice or someone else's?
No, somebody else's.
Why don't you read it?
I don't know. I wasn't asked to, and I'm glad I wasn't.
Well, folks, go get the book Forged by Lightning if you want some killer stories from boyhood to the battlefield to the boardroom. What's the like for all the entrepreneurs listening? What basic rules would you tell them to basically win in the boardroom?
I'd say don't be afraid to take a risk. Don't be afraid to take that job in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a city you hate. You happen to have been there once and you hated it. And it's a great job, a great track record to take up from there. Take that job. And whatever you do, don't quit. And these are all common statements. I've heard that many times. Do not quit. Whatever you say, do not quit. Keep going. Put your head down. Do the best you can. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Be honest. It's so easy to lie in business. It's, I missed the quarter. But you told me you were going to make that quarter. Well, I thought I was at the time, but there's all ways out of it. So, and be brave, courageous, have character. Values.
Have you always been corporate?
No, I came from the very bottom of the media world.
Yeah, but I mean, you didn't build Viacom. You worked there. So like, an entrepreneur to me is like the one who built it. Have you ever built a company?
Well, you've also heard that good managers act like entrepreneurs too.
Yeah.
And
that's a bomb. You can't hear it, but it's. Yeah, that's a good one. So, but you've never built a company. It's not a bad thing. It's just a fact.
I built my foundation, and it's doing real well. I could get it as big as I want it. I don't want it big. I want it because I'm dedicated to these veteran issues that I talked about.
So how can the Bomb Squad help you? I was hoping you had a side business or something you started that they can go support.
You can help me with my book. I mean, took an entrepreneur to write that book.
That's right.
And I wrote it in. When you read it, you're gonna find it very easy to read because it's me. You can hear me. It's like my narration in each story. There are 57 stories in there, and they're not all horrible. I got some funny ones that happened to me. One of them comes to mind is hilarious. I don't know if we have time for it, but
sure, go ahead.
Well, I was just.
Let's leave it on a laughter note.
Okay. This will be my final story. Okay. I just graduated from officer candidate school, and they made me student company commander. I was a big deal in OCS, and only because I could run faster and I was, meaner, and it wasn't anything about character that I knew of. But anyway, so I graduated from OCS, and they made me a tactical officer in OCS, like a drill sergeant, except for officers. So I had a platoon assigned to me, and I ran that platoon really hard. And one Saturday afternoon, nothing going on. I'm laying out by the pool in our apartment complex, typical apartment complex, typical pool. All young people live there. And this gorgeous girl, and she knew she was beautiful. Her name is Tara. I'll never forget, T-A-R-A. I knew her as Tara. I don't remember her last name. And she teased us. She flaunted her sexuality. She would come out in her string bikini, beautiful body, gorgeous hair. She looked like she was taken right from Central Casting. She was that pretty. And she would sway by us, and she was from the South, and we were Yankees, and we military guys. We were below her. She treated us like crap. And I used to tease her because I knew she didn't want anything to do with me. So she comes out one day dressed in a red full-length dress, cut deep, beautiful body, full display. Her hair all done up on top. She's going to a formal of some kind. And she walks out to give us some crap, just to parade around in front of us. I said, "Hey, Tara, where are you going tonight?" She said, "I'm going to a place you'd never dream of going." And I said, "Well, you could try me. Why don't you skip your boyfriend? I'll go out with you tonight. You can be my date." She said, "I wouldn't go out with you with your smelly body if my life depended on it." I jumped up from my seat in the chair where I was sitting. I grabbed her by the waist, and I dived into the pool with her. I've never seen a woman so pissed off in my entire life. Her boyfriend was just ready to pick her up to go to this formal dance, and I dived in the pool with her, holding on to her around the waist. She came out of the pool. Her dress was losing its color, it's streaking all over, red all over her. Her hair was down around her. Makeup was flowing down her face. If looks could kill, she was actually more dangerous at that point than the Viet Cong were. She said, my dad is a famous lawyer, and she taught college, so she had a good job. And she's from the South, and they were old school, generation after generation living in Atlanta. She said, "My dad is going to come and get you, and he's going to sue you. And my boyfriend, when he gets here, he's going to come out here and kick your ass." I said, "Here I am. Bring it on." And I never heard from her father, and her boyfriend never showed up. but to me, and her father never sued me, of course. And I always thought that old man probably giggled, thinking she probably asked for what she got, because he knew her better than anybody, right? So Sarah was one of my favorite stories. I love
Tara.
Yes, Tara.
Tara.
T-A-R-A.
This says you're a lawyer. You are also a lawyer?
No.
Okay.
No.
Did I say lawyer? Maybe
No.
I did. If I said lawyer, he's not a lawyer, folks.
I wouldn't be a lawyer.
I was going to say, dude, there's way more to the story. You've got tons of stories. We'll have to get them on the next episode. Folks, go out and get the book, Forged by Lightning. That's how you can support them, repay them for the service. Douglas J. Greenlaw. You can look him up on LinkedIn. He's got an Instagram, but you don't know what it is.
It's I forgot the name of it. I'm not with Instagram too much.
But you're on Facebook.
Facebook is just my name. It'll bring it up. And Instagram is, I think I called it Douglas Greenlaw the book. Douglas Greenlaw book.
There you go.
Instagram.
Folks, go out and get his book. Support him. Where can they donate to your foundation if they want?
Well, I've got a website. It's thegreenlawfoundation.org. And it's self-explanatory. I explain what we're doing, and a spot where you can make a small donation and a big donation. I get donations from $50 to $20,000.
Wow, nice.
So
and you're basically,
and I respect the $50 as much because they usually come from somebody that doesn't have $50.
Yeah. Well, we have everybody in the bomb squad from $50 to 50 million. So hopefully, guys, you guys will go out there, support this gentleman, thank him for his service, buy his book at the very least. And as always, until next time, keep it real.